Well, good morning again. This is Hero. I think we've seen this one a number of times. And today it's good news, bad news. Good news is you could see how this progresses. Bad news, it was supposed to have been sold, but lady never came back. But that's okay. Actually, I wanted to keep this a little bit longer, especially till now, because I wanted this to be this tall. Because this is the primary side, this is the secondary. So this should be lower than this one. And when we first started, it was smaller on this side. So now I feel better that it's got the proportion that I wanted to have. Now, so this being the primary side, I'm going to work this first. And remember, number 1 tree, number 2 tree, number 3. So it should be the tallest, middle, and short. Or it could be 1, 2, 3. Depends on how it works out. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing first. And then once we get this thing, the shape we want, then we work that one. Number 1 tree, we should define our apex. See what happens? They get all bunched up, and we want it tall, so we're just gonna thin it out so that we have side branches instead of just a glob up there, right? So, see? So that sets the pace. So now, I guess this was number 2, this is number 3. Well, when I started, these were basically about the same age, so that it was difficult to get this 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if we make this the number 2, then this one should be shorter. But if we keep this as number 2, that should be shorter. And in terms of the presentation, because we have a group on the other side, maybe this is better number 2, in which case I should try to keep it as taller as possible. Not as tall as this one, but taller than that one, right? And so let's proceed that way. And this one here should be shorter than that. So we'll find an area where this will be the apex, is shorter. And so when I get done today, is it going to be finished? No, it's not. This is just the proportion that I've been wanting to do. So if I had the right material to start with, I wouldn't have to be doing it, but I only had the 3 that was the same. So when you're growing your material, you could use like a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Then you don't have to go through this process. So now I want to see, right now it still looks like a bush, and we want these to start looking like mature trees. Well, it's not going to get done today, not completely. It's a process, right? So you just have to kind of slowly develop the tree. In a couple of years, we want to keep this height more or less the same, but these trunks will get thicker. And then this one may or may not stay, because this looks like a sacrifice branch, right? But all those things take time, and that's what you're going to do, is develop a good material first, and then into a bonsai later. Okay, today is the middle of September, so we're going to be kind of making sure we don't over prune, because the recovery rate will be slower than if we did this in spring. Well, in the springtime, this is shot up, right? And so I've been more or less kind of keeping these in check, so we got the proportion that we want. And still too tall for me. Let's cut it down to here. Okay, now we have a distinct number 1, number 2, number 3. So, okay, now let's get to the maple side. Okay, on this maple side, well, this is our primary, this is secondary, so we want to make sure that it's kept in check. This side, it's multi-planting, like a little miniature grove that I grew together. Okay, so within there too, we got number 1, number 2, and number 3. Much too long, right? And then we're looking for branches to go horizontal. And if you keep cutting, it'll come out and then we'll get it to go where we want. Yes, we could wire, but the problem I see with wiring is it's fun to put it on, but then you forget to take it off. Then you got some problems. And I've tried it on maples, and when they get it scarred, you can't get rid of it. Same thing with the boulevard cypress. They grow so rapidly that if you're not on top of it at all times, it gets damaged within months sometimes. Well, not right now, but in the springtime when it's trying to grow, it really does. And I think, in one of my early chapters, I showed examples of that. You know, I've been saying that I read your comments. I do not reply, because then you'll end up having to answer everybody all the times. But what I've noticed is that people are asking the questions that's already been answered. Well, and I think part of the problem is I have a whole lot of chapters, over 1,000 chapters. So the answer that you're asking is out there somewhere. And so, well, if you ask me how do you find all those, I have no idea. I barely know how to make these videos and post it, and how you're supposed to go about finding the subject you want. I don't know how it's done. But what I was thinking was, there's another tree. So there's a fourth one in here. I think that's, but what I'm thinking is what I should do is every 3 to 5 years, cover the same subject. Well, these ongoing ones are really simple. I mean, you just find a time when it probably needs work and then do it and then post it. And then so you kind of see how everything works. But what I'm finding is I'm picking up new people. And well, what I was thinking was the simple subject, what is bonsai? There's a lot of misconception out there. So I thought, maybe I should just go ahead and redo those. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better than my first one, because I've improved my camera work. I actually improved my equipment. Although you can't get this really high def on my channel, because the upload is done with normal instead of high def. And that, I think I explained that before. I don't have a good Wi-Fi out here, being in the country, so that's what happens. Okay, so I'm feeling better now in terms of the proportion. Okay, so we got this side here. This is our primary side. Number 1, number 2, number 3 tree in this grouping. So this is our secondary grouping. So we got number 1, number 2, number 3, and we just realized there's a number 4. And when you put it all together, it's lucky 7. So what I'm going to do next is to go ahead and finish pulling the weeds. No use you watching me pull weeds. So I'll pull the weeds, refresh the stream bed, and then get back to you. Well, just in case some of you really want to see weeds being pulled, you just take these, right? I think some of you will probably like this part. Me, this is just busy work. So, see, this gets repeated over and over. Well, we could make this into a really long chapter. Hero pulls weeds. And so anyway, basically that's what I'm going to do. So I'll shut off the camera and then we'll get back when I'm done. Not perfect, but I got most of the weeds pulled, and you can see that next generation is popping anyway. But anyway, so this is kind of the look I wanted. So if you can go back last year when I first finished it. You know, one thing about bonsai, it's actually never finished. So if you don't enjoy the process of watching things grow and how to improve it, do something else. I think one of the most rewarding things is to see how it develops and gets better and better. Okay, I shall wrap this up because I have others that's waiting to be done. I know some of you notice there's still weeds in there. Well, I'm from the school of close enough. Actually, that's sort of absolutely necessary when you're in the business. I can't afford to spend so much time on this to get so perfect, then everything else get neglected. So I think this is good enough for now. So let's take a look. This is a slightly different angle. Oops, a little bit of bump there. So once again, this is the Boulevard Cypress, number 1, number 2, number 3, and Japanese maple grove on the other side. So anyway, this is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. In fact, as soon as I put this away, I'll get the next one started. Okay, see you again real soon in another chapter.